60117 Administrative. General authority to carry over the chapter. The Secretary of Transportation may conduct the investigation, may report with the issue of the subpoena with the conduct hearing of the report, production of the records, take disposition, conduct research for the testing, development, demonstrate for the training activities, promote activities relating to the prevention of the damage of the pipeline facility. Secretary may not charge with the tuition type of the fee with the training of the state, local government personnel with the enforcement regulation prescribed in the chapter. Enforcement proceed with the process of the implementing and enforcing measures proceed with the chapter part 109. Part 190 of Title 49 Code of Regulations of the second successor regulations. Secretary shall allow the respondent to request the use of the consistent agreement of the consent order to receive the matter of fact of law asserted and allow the respondent of the agency convened with one or more meeting settlement of the simplification issue, the aid disposition issues. C. Required with the case of the file with enforcement procedures. Proceeding includes all of the agency's records that pertain to the matter of the fact of the law asserted. All respondents to reply with each post-hearing submission of the agency. E. With allow with the representative to request for the hearing of the held and ordered by issue of the expedited basis. F. Required with the agency have burden and proof the presentation persuading with the enforcement matter. G. With required with the order that any order refining with relevant facts and with the conclusion of the law. H. Under the Office of Pipeline Safety, the post-hearing recommendation no later than 30 days of the deadline post-hearing submission of the respondent. I require that the order of the petition reconsideration to be issued no later than 120 days after the petition is filed. J. Allow the operator to require that the issue conversely with uncertainty they address the declaratory order in accordance with Section 554E with Title 5. 2. Open to the public hearing section shall be notified of the public website of the Pipeline Hazard Material Safety Administration, and in case of formal hearing is defined in Section 190.3 Title 49 Code of Regulations, successor regulation, open to public. Transparent agreements of the order judgments of the open to public with respect to each of the enforcement proceeding within the chapter. The administrator of the Pipeline Heritage Safety Administration shall make public available on the website administrative and charging document the written correspondence of the respondent filed is consent and agreement to consent over the order and judgment resolved with the hearing of the chapter. GA, the government accounting office the report of the pipeline safety program collection, transparency, enforcement proceeding in general no later than 2 years after the date of the enactment of Pipe Act 2020. The Compeller General of the United States shall review the information pipeline for enforcement of the Pipeline Hazard Material Safety Administration makes publicly available to the Internet, and to submit to the Committee with the Commerce and Science and Transportation and Senate Common and the Committee of the Transportation, Infrastructure, Emergency, and Commerce for the House of Representatives a report on the review of including any recommendations under Clause 3. 2. Contents report under Clause 1 and 2 that shall include the description process for the Pipeline Hazard Material Safety Administration, even the collective record enforcement information. 1. Assessment whether or if so how did Pipeline Safety Administration ensure that the enforcement information is made public, available to the public in access manner with the assessment with the information described in 1. 3. Recommendation report under Clause 1-2 may include recommendations representing any of the improvement that can be made accessibility with the information described in Section 1-1. 2. Whether and if and so how information described in 1-1 could be made transparent. And 2. 3. Any recommendation Comptroller of the United States General is appropriate, say within clause. Nothing subsection also procedures apply with emergency under subsection P, the emergency safety order with under subsection M, the corrective action under section 60112, the records retaining the important information enable the Secretary to decide whether the person owning the operating pipeline facility complying with the chapter statement with the prescribed order issue under the chapter of the person that shall maintain the records, make reports, or provide information the Secretary requires, make records and reports, information available to security requests. Secretary may require owners and operators of the gathering provide the security of the information pertaining to the Secretary the ability to determine whether they want the extent of the regulate the gathering line with the entry inspection after the officer employee, even the Department of Transportation designated with the Secretary to display the procedure. Proper credential of the individual tribe of the manager of the premise for the inspect with the records probably over the person reasonable time with a reasonable way to decide whether the person complying with the chapter standard prescribed or with the issue of the chapter confidential with the information related with the confidential material that referred to in 1905 the Title 18 is obtained when the Secretary of the officer or employee or agent carrying out with the section may disclose any of the officer of the employer the concern with carrying out with the chapter of the proceeding on this chapter. Use the accident reports. Each accident report made by the officer employed with the agent with the department which may be judicial proceeding resolved from the accident of the officer employed with the agent may be required to testify with the proceeding about Facts developed in investigating the accident, the report shall be made with the public the way that does not identify with the individual. Each report research of the demonstration projects related with the activity, public information, testing facilities involved in the accident. Secretary may require to test part of the pipeline facility such subject to the chapter that have been involved with the effect of the accident only after notifying appropriate state and official state where the facility is located, attempting to negotiate mutual acceptable plan testing on a facility when the Secretary consider the appropriate National Transportation Safety Board. Providing safety information and request the Secretary shall provide Federal Energy Regulation Commission appropriate state authority information. Secretary safety import material operation device for the process for the relay with the pipeline facility pipeline transportation operating pipeline facility cooperation. Secretary made available. Secretary may advise with assist the cooperate with department and agencies been instrumental with the United States government, state, with the public and private agency person, planning, developing safety standards, the way to inspect the test and decide whether the standards have complied with many with and make recommendations. Department agency instrumental with the government, state, and local governments. Public and private agency person will develop and encourage activities including the enactment of the legislation. He will assist in the carrying out of the chapter, improve the state and local pipeline safety programs, and participate in proceedings involving safety requirements related with liquid natural gas facility before commissioning of the state authority. Alright, J. Promoting coordination. After the consult with the appropriate state official, the Secretary shall establish procedure to promote more effective coordination between the department agencies instrumental with the government, with the state, with the authority, with the regulatory authority over the pipeline facilities about responding with the pipeline acts and consult installation of the Occupational Safety Health Administration. Secretary shall establish procedure to notify the administrator of the pipeline assistant within which the excavator has caused damage to the pipeline have violated regulation with administration withholding information for the Congress. Secretary does not authorize information withheld for the committee with the Congress authorized to have the information. Authority for the cooperative agreement to carry out with the chapter. The Secretary may enter into the grant cooperative agreement or other transaction with any person, agency, instrumentality of the United States, and until the state, local government, educational institute, any other entity further to objectively with the chapter. The objective of the chapter include the development and implement proven the promotion of one-call damage prevention programs, research of the risk assessment, mapping, safety order. In general, no later than December 31st, 2007, the Secretary shall issue regulation providing with the after the notice of opportunity in the hearing the Secretary determine the pipeline facility with the conditions proposed for the pipeline integrity, risk of the pipeline, public safety, property, for the environment. Secretary may order to operate with the facility with the necessary for the corrective action, including the physical inspection, testing, repair, with the other appropriate action, remedy, condition, consideration, making the determination under paragraph 1. Secretary relevant with the pursuant regulations issued in paragraph 1 shall consider A. The consideration specified in paragraphs 1 through 6 of the section 60112B. Likelihood of the condition impair the serviceability of the pipeline, likelihood of the condition worsen over time. D. The likelihood of the condition present that could develop over the other areas of the pipeline. Restoration of the operation. General, the Secretary may divide with the specifically cooperate with the head department agency, instrumentality, United States government, state of the public and private agencies of the participating facility of the restoration pipeline operation that have been anticipated to become distributed by man-made natural disasters. Save the cause. Nothing in this section of the amendment. The authority of the responsible to the department agency, instrumentality, United States government, the other department of transportation. Cost recovery for the design review. In general, view of the cost. If we're projected and described in subparagraph B, Secretary conducts the facility the design safety review in connection proposed with constructing, expanding the operate of the gas hazard liquid pipeline safety pipeline facility and or liquid natural gas pipeline, including the construction and inspection and oversight of the Secretary may require the some proposed in the project to pay the cost of the Secretary relating to such review. The Secretary exercise the cost. Recovery the authority of the paragraph of the Secretary prescribed the fee structure, the assessment methods are based on the cost of the provided with the review of the prescribed procedures to collect under the paragraph of the Secretary may collect design safety review fee for the under the paragraph 60301 of the same design safety review projects with the applicable subparagraph A applies to any of the project that has design construction cost total of the $2.5 billion periodically adjusted. The Secretary taking account of the cross increase of the concrete consumer price, including the urban costs and published with the Department of Labor, the pipeline facility. A good faith estimate the development person with the proposing head liquid facility with the submitted with the Secretary is now newer novel technologies designed and determined in the Secretary. Notification for the new pipeline facility for the construction project with the Secretary will conduct the design review the proposing this project within shall notify the Secretary provide the design specification construction plan with receipt of the relay of the material of the lease 120 days prior commencement of the construction maximum extent with the practical no later than 9 days after the receipt of the application for the construction plan with the procedures relay with the material the Secretary shall provide written comments, feedback guarantee with the pipeline guidance of the project. Through the Pipeline Safety Review, the Safety Design Review Fund, established by Pipeline Safety Design Review Fund is the Treasury of the United States. The Deposit Secretary who shall deposit funds paid under the subsection of the fund, use the amount of the funds available to the Secretary of the amount of the appropriate action to offset the cost of conducting facility design safety reviews and under subsection no additional permitting authority. Nothing in subsection may contribute the authority of these authorizing the Secretary of the required of the person to obtain a permit permitting the design and construction connection projected described in paragraph 1B. Emergency order and authority. In general, the Secretary determine the unsafe condition of the combination of unsafe conditions corrective of the consultant constitute causing the imminent head of the Secretary may issue the emergency order described within paragraph 3 of the impose the head of the restriction prohibition. Safety measure owners operate with the gas and head of liquid pipeline facilities with a prior notice and operation opportunity of hearing, but only the extent necessary for the abate with the imminent hazard of the consideration generally before issuing an emergency order in paragraph 1. The Secretary shall consider as appropriate the following factors: the impact with the emergency order of the public and health and safety, the impact with the emergency order of the national, regional, economy, and national security, the emergency of the order of the ability owner and operator of the pipeline facility maintain reliability, continue the service of the customer. Consultation, consider the fact of the subparagraph A, the Secretary should consult with the Secretary to determine the appropriate federal agency, state agency, other acknowledgeable the pipeline and safety operators written order of the emergency order of the Secretary pursuant to paragraph 1 respect the imminent have the commitment with a written description of the violation condition practice of the constitute of the causing an imminent hazard B that needs the subject order C of the restriction prohibition and safety measures imposed. D, the safety and standard of the procedure of obtaining relief of the order. E, the order of the tailor to abate the imminent habit of the reason of the authority of the section 60112 of the subsection M, the insufficient to do so. With the H, without the consideration were taken into account in paragraph 2, the opportunity for review. Upon receipt of the petition from the review of the entity is subject with agreement with the emergency order the order is issued subsection Secretary shall provide with the opportunity to review the order under section 554 of the Title 5 to determine whether the order shall remain in effect, modified, terminated, expiration effectiveness of the order. Petition review of the emergency order with the file within paragraph 4 in the decision in respect with the position not issued on the last day of 30 days period beginning on the day of the position is filed, and the order shall cause the case to cease to the effect of the such of the day the Undersecretary determined the written on the base written on before the last day of such period the imminent hazard still exists. Judicial review of the orders. In general, the completion of the review prescribed in paragraph 4 of the issue of the written determination Secretary pursuant in paragraph 5, and any with the subject view of the emergency order issued under the subsection may seek judicial review of the order district court of the United States and what shall be given the expedited consideration. Limitation and filing with the petition shall for review in subparagraph A shall notify and modify the force and effects of the agency failed decision on paragraph 4 of the determination on the paragraph 5 of the unless state or a modified Secretary. Regulation, temporary regulation no later than 60 days after the date of the enactment. Pipes Act with the 2016 Secretary shall issue the temporary regulation necessary to carry out the subject temporary regulation shall expire with the date insurance issuance of the final regulation under subsection paragraph B. B, final regulation no later than 270 days after such enactment. The Secretary shall issue the regulation necessary to carry out the subsection. Such regulation shall from the chair of the review of the process in paragraph 4 with the containment of the same proceed with the subsection D and G, section 109.19. Title 49 Code of Regulations, and every others consistent review process developed under section in the greatest extent, practical inconsistent with the section. Imminent hazard defined within subsection of the imminent hazard that means of the existing history related with a gas or a hazard liquid pipeline facility that present with a substantial likelihood of death, serious illness, or severe personal injury, substantial endangerment of the health and property involved in our environment may occur before the reasonable foreseeable the completion date of a formal proceeding beginning left with the risk of the death of illness and injury, endangerment. Limitations, savings, clauses, emergency orders issued the subsection may be construed to alert and amend the limit of the Secretary's obligation over the regular applicability, section 553, Title 5, or provide authority to amend the Code of Federal Regulations. Goes into public law historical revision notes, public law reference and amendments, regulations, safety data sheets, and accident and notification guidance. pipeline training, safety, local government training, will consult on pipelines, incidents, accidents, 60118 compliance and waivers.